Bill and Melinda Gates really have set out to change the world, to help the bottom billion, the most of the extreme poor, out of poverty. And why do I think about it in terms of a business? Because I believe that we do apply the same rigor and the same discipline that you would to any business challenge. To give some context, I'm sure many of you in the room tonight have been involved in campaigns where the outcome would be a market-changing event. What if that campaign was actually about a vaccine that could reduce malaria cases by 1/4? And if successful outcome was not a rise in share prices, but what if it was a rise in the number of kids who would live to see their 5th birthday? In the years since I've started at the foundation, the communications world has transformed. But there's one thing that hasn't changed. No matter who you work with, no matter who you reach out to, there is always an enormous gulf between agreement and action. People overwhelmingly agree that it's right to save lives in the developing world. They agree that it is not right for huge numbers of children to be cut off from education, healthcare, and the chance at a decent life. But somewhere between that agreement and needed action, we lose most people. One problem is that we in the development community have been pitching the wrong story. If people aren't buying what we have to sell, it's because we haven't packaged our product in the right way. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the Dove campaign for real beauty. In fact, I'm sure some of you probably helped design the campaign. Dove flooded the internet with viral videos that forced people to rethink their ideals of beauty. What's impressive from my perspective about the campaign is that it forges that incredibly strong connection between consumer and product. And let's remind ourselves, the product is soap. Now, I'm not knocking soap. It's a very important part of all our lives. And in all seriousness, it plays a deeply important part in a lot of our sanitation efforts worldwide. But this campaign is more successful than the vast majority of non-profit campaigns that are fighting to give people access to basic human rights, to education, clean drinking water, and health. So when I think about this campaign, I keep thinking about a basic question. Why are people more engaged by a bar of soap than the 2.9 million infants who die each year before they turn a month old? There are places still in the world today where people don't name their children immediately because survival is such a chancy thing. Of course, the Dove campaign wasn't selling soap. It was selling self-esteem. And that raises a question about what we as a foundation and as a sector are selling. Maybe, instead of opening with a message about disease and deprivation, we should lead with a message about progress and potential. In a tough global economic environment, we need governments and other donors to see investment in aid as a good return, and we need the public to see and believe in the progress that's being made. And that's why, when it comes to our top priority, polio, we don't talk about paralysis. We talk about hope. We talk about the fact that through the amazing efforts and incredible dedication of our partners, from Rotary to FC Barcelona, and through their decades of hard work, we've already eliminated 99% of all polio cases in the world. You know, I think we all have a role to play in these development conversations, even if it feels like your business couldn't be further away from the world of development. People have a tendency to imagine that all problems in the world are happening in far-off places, affecting people who don't affect your life or your work. But it's really not the case. There aren't neat walls between the emerging markets that interest you and the people who are struggling in these same places. You can't engage with one without engaging in the other. Today, some of the biggest, most interesting, fastest growing markets in the world are also places where development challenges are front and center in people's minds. And if we don't solve these challenges, these nations and the people within them will never reach their full potential. The scope of these opportunities is currently constrained by our ability to address the biggest challenges facing the developing world. And that's why you need to get involved. Because increasingly, the developing world is the world we're all operating in. When your companies look to you, they aren't just asking for your communications insights. They look to you for your understanding of the world in which they operate. And quite frankly, you can't have a complete understanding of the world unless you have a robust understanding of the development challenges that we face today. So if you're still thinking about these issues as far away and irrelevant to you, then you're already falling behind. The barriers between nations are becoming more and more porous. And if you are seeking success in this still young century, you have to understand these issues. You have to engage with these issues. Because if we can leverage your influence, your power, then I'm confident that we really do have a shot at changing the world. Thank you very much.